Hello, my name is Andres Castro, and today I'll be presenting on mitigating wildfires. A little bit on their context, their history, and the impact of wildfires on Canada, across the world. What is the best way to go about fighting them in a responsible and effective way so that we can help civilization and nature at the same time? So I'll start off by saying that fire is like nature's cleanser. What I mean by this is like fire is a phenomenon that has been around Earth since the start time, and it's part of the cycle of life. It gives an opportunity for new life to rise from a place where it maybe could not thrive anymore. Forests have been having wildfires since long time before humans were here, so it's part of nature at this point. It's a natural phenomenon that of course affects us human, that if we live close to forests, if we need resources for forests, and it also affects the ecosystem. And for this reason, we have learned to fear fire and see all fire as inherently bad, when it is not like that. When fire can bring opportunity for new life to rise. And in many cultures, it is seen like that. It's respected. It is appreciated as this path maker for new life to come to be. So, even though I mentioned that fire is a natural process that will always occur in nature's cycle, it is still very dangerous to just humans. If we rely on resources from a forest, if we live close to a forest, fire will still affect us, and we need to be prepared for it. Uh, Uncontrolled fires ran rampant across the world last year, 2023, with 300 million hectares burning down due to uncontrolled fires. 14 million of those were here on Canadian soil. These numbers, according to the GYWS, the Global Wildfire Information System, represent the worst season of all time for Canada in wildfires. Almost quadrupling the normal amount, the average amount of hectares burnt down by wildfires in Canada. And this seems to be a rising trend all across the world. Wildfire seasons or fire seasons get worse and worse and worse as years pass. What do scientists attribute this, you might ask? Well, it's mostly human involvement in forests. And this is not just like having a unsupervised campfire or drawing a cigarette on the ground that lights up the whole thing. It goes way deeper than that, with the human involvement that has been going on in forests for decades ago, from decades ago. What do I mean by this? Let me go to the next slide. The most noticeable product in human involvement in causing this great spike in wildfires in the recent year is our hand in global temperature rise. All the greenhouse gases we create and that add up to the greenhouse effect and make the earth warmer, make the forest drier at the same time. So drier forests catch fire easier. And these dry forests spread fire very, very fast, since it is very easy for fire to jump from one tree to another. Tightly packed forests are also cause of these devastating wildfires. And tightly packed forests are mostly created by us humans. Since we've been so afraid of fire for decades over the last century, uh, there was this initiative of putting fires as fast as as soon as we see a fire, we would put it out. And even though it was a natural fire that might have helped the forest cleanse a little, we would put it out. And these created this tightly packed forests that are not good for the new fires that we're getting, since it'll all spread, and it'll be impossible to stop since it's just a huge area of fire that won't stop, even with current firefighting techniques. Also, we have poor fire prevention procedures from, well, also humans, like not correctly tending a campfire or not having the correct procedures for fighting a fire. These may all add up to causing wildfires. Well, and also, as I mentioned, it is also a natural process, so lightning or even just heat causes these wildfires that would be natural, but with human involvement become a very, very big phenomenon that affects everyone. Fortunately, over the last century, we've developed a lot of technology and protocols that allow us to understand these fires and fight them efficiently. However, also trying to control nature is no easy task, and human interference, as I mentioned, has caused a lot of problems that are bleeding into the situation that we have today. Some of these protocols are satellite monitoring of forests or protected areas that they allow constant 24/7 monitoring of big areas that would not be able to cover in person down here on Earth. And they give updates to monitoring stations like the Global Wildfire Information System, and they keep track of, okay, what's going on in this forest. Okay, this forest might be susceptible to burning due to the high temperatures that they will have next month. Another of the protocols that we have is prescribed burns, which is one of the protocols that is most effective in fighting fires, since it allows for both natural fires to occur and simulates the natural fire process, and it breaks tree lines so that when we have uncontrolled wildfire, it won't jump from 1 hectare to another or 1 acre to another, and it'll simply make the area affected by that uncontrolled fire smaller and easier to fight for firefighters. So what this method basically is creating huge lines of burnt down trees or burnt down shrub or bushes that cannot burn again since they're, I mean, already completely burnt. So fire cannot jump from a dry burning tree to another dry tree, since it has this line varies on the width of the line depending on the thickness of the forest, and it makes easier. It breaks down the areas that the fire affects. Basically, it is a very good method. Actually, this prescribed fire method is really appreciated by Canada's Indigenous people since they have always respected natural fires and integrate them into the culture. And since this method simulates what a natural fire would look like and gives a path for new life to grow, it is being backed by them. Because a lot of people in current environmental organizations do not appreciate this method since it is burning down a large chunk of forests, but on the other hand, like it's still helping the larger majority of a forest area by just selecting a few lines across it to prevent it from burning down completely in case of a fire. And this mix of having new technology and old culture um, go together to create effective and respectful plans towards fighting fires from here on out is what I believe is the best way to go about fighting fires today, while also obviously educating people on how to react to these very scary events in case of they're living close to a forest or have to have to live through a place that is very affected by wildfire season, so that we can make them prepared when the fire comes. What's the best way to go about evacuating, uh, just dealing with it whole in the whole. This brings us into my conclusion and final recommendations. So, as I mentioned, I believe that merging culture with new technologies is the best way to go about finding an effective method to fight fire, since you're integrating years and years of knowledge with the technology we have today, which allows us to monitor forests from afar in a safe way, and well, also you're respecting cultures and traditions that have been going on for thousands of years here in Canada. And taking these two together could muster up a real good way to uh, fight this crisis that is going on here in Canada and across the world of fire fire seasons becoming worse and worse and worse with the past of years. Integrating prescribed fires to prevent communities from being devastated by uncontrolled fire is really important. and a method that should be brought back to the practices today so that we can, well, minimize the damage that happens when we inevitably have those uncontrolled fire seasons, and eventually uh, have them become less and less and less devastating with the passing of years instead of becoming more and more and more devastating. And yeah, so my recommendation would be take the culture that has been understanding these fires for many years and integrate it to what we have today. So yeah, that will be all. Thank you very much for listening, and